Our top story today on Fineprint is from West Asia, among the most volatile regions of the world, marred by violence, conflict and terrorism. On Sunday, Turkish President Erdogan announced that his country's military forces had eliminated the suspected leader of the Islamic State.
Our national intelligence organization has been following the so-called leader of Daesh, codename Abu Hassan al-Qurayshi, for a long time. This is the first time I am announcing this news, that this individual was neutralized as part of an operation by the Turkish National Intelligence Organization in Syria yesterday.
This was President Erdogan making the announcement for the first time on a Turkish media channel. The operation took place on Sunday, when members of Turkey's MIT intelligence agency targeted an abandoned farm in northern Syria's Jindiris region. Turkish forces cordoned off the farm, being used as an Islamic school. Residents of the rebel-controlled Syrian town say that the clashes started on the edge of Jindiris overnight from Saturday going into Sunday. The operation lasted for about 1 hour, ending with a large explosion. Announcing the success of his mission, Erdogan said that Ankara would continue its fight against terrorist organizations without any discrimination. The big statement comes just days after the president returned to the limelight after falling sick during a live interview. The month of May has kicked in and only a few days are left before the country goes to vote. Turkey under Erdogan was one of the first countries to recognize the Islamic State or Daesh as a terrorist group. The country has since been attacked by the terror group multiple times. Over 300 people have been killed and hundreds more have been injured in at least 10 suicide bombings, 7 bomb attacks and 4 armed assaults. Turkey in response launched an anti-terror operation at home and many such operations abroad to prevent further attacks. The operation comes at a time when Turkey is heading to polls. Erdogan's hopes of cementing yet another decade in power have been watered down by the devastating earthquake and the government's much criticized slow response. There is soaring inflation in Turkey and a currency crisis that slashed nearly 30% of the lira's value against the dollar last year. For more on this, we are now being joined live by Mr. Omar, who is a political analyst and security expert, who's joining in from Ankara. Welcome to the broadcast, Omar.
Thanks for having me.
Omar, rising from the devastating earthquake and now neutralizing the biggest terrorist names in the region, announcing this on national TV, how will this affect the upcoming polls for President Erdogan?
So first of all, what we know so far about the operation is that the ISIS leader infiltrated the region only recently. So this indicates that the ISIS terror group has exploited the earthquake. And in Syria, the town of Jindiris, where the ISIS leader was called off, is the single town which was most hit by the earthquake and the most of the destruction in Syria happened. So therefore, it appears that natural catastrophes are being exploited by a terrorist organization. And this new operation shows the capabilities of the Turkish intelligence and the Turkish security, as well as the Syrian partners, because we know that this operation was not only conducted by the Turkish intelligence, but also by the Turkey-based Syrian rebels and the Syrian National Army. So we know that the Syrian National Army has surrounded the compound, and the special force team of the Turkish intelligence, the MIT, has entered the building and clashed with ISIS figures up until the moment in which the ISIS leader has exploited itself with a suicide belt and destroyed the surroundings. Fortunately, no civilian was harmed in any way, or there was no casualties on the Turkish or on the Syrian side,
yes.
And only ISIS culprits and terrorists died. So this shows that Turkey's capability in anti-terrorism has risen very much. But we should also understand that this is not the first time Turkey has captured or eliminated an ISIS leader. Some months ago, Turkey has captured al-Sumedai, yes, who was believed to be an ISIS leader, the leader. But it came out after inspection that he is not the leader, but someone else, and he was killed then later on by the Americans. So all of this shows that Turkey is quite capable. And in regards to your question to the elections, I want to answer your question as well. I do not expect
actually, that was,
this
Omar,
to happen.
that was actually the next question that I wanted to ask. Like, how will this change the equation where there's been a tight race between Kılıçdaroğlu and Erdogan? How will the next 14 days pan out with this happening right now?
So I do not think that this will have any real impact on the Turkish elections. It will further consolidate Erdogan's support base, and it will have less of an effect on the people who are already voting for Kılıçdaroğlu. I do not expect that this will become a major issue in the Turkish polls and in the decision-making of the Turkish electorate. As well as when Erdogan announced this news, it was obviously big news, but Turkish domestic politics and Turkish elections are similar to the US, in which domestic politics matter all over anything else.
Right.
Foreign policy is secondary to anything regarding domestic politics. So therefore, this will further consolidate Erdogan's support base, but I do not think that it will have a major effect on the Turkish elections. And furthermore, we have to underline that this operation happened to happen now, not because Turkey is ahead of elections or something like that, but the ISIS leader has recently relocated to this region,
as you mentioned.
And we know that anytime an ISIS leader is relocating, it's easier for intelligence to find them and to eliminate them.
Thank you for joining in, Omar. That was Mr. Omar joining in from Ankara, analyst and security expert.